Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu'alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wabihi dunia wadin. The Honorable Mr. Imam Muhammadi Pradodo Budi STMT and Ms. Sinta Ramadona STMT as my advisor, and the Honorable Mr. Prasetyo Yuliantoro STMT and Mr. Muhammad Banji Kusuma Praja STMT as my examiner. And thank you very much for my friends. First, I would like to ask all of you to give thanks to presence of greatest Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us the blessing and guidance so that we can gather here. And I ask you to deliver your prayer and your greetings to our Prophet Nabi Muhammad SAW. On this blessed day, I am Fibauti Rizka Utami, and my ID number student is 171010 and 39. Will present a topic of final research. The title is Analyzes the Impact of Sun Outage and Satellite Orbit on the Performance Telkom 3S Satellite Communication System. For the first slide, I will describe about my outlines. The first outline is background, and the second is problem formulation. The third is scope of problem. The fourth is literature study, and the fifth is basic theory, and the sixth is research method. And the next is link budget and sun outage calculation, and then sun outage of period calculation, result and analysis, conclusion, recommendation, and then the last is reference. Okay, I will describe about my background. The first background is about the range of satellite and earth station, because communication satellites are located at altitude of thousands of kilometers above the Earth's surface. And every March and September in equinox for several days, the Earth station happen and naturally occurs interference called by sun outage. And the interference make loss of signal on the dwelling site greatly affect the performance of satellites and Earth stations. And this is also affect increase in noise temperature in downlink transmission from the satellite to receiving Earth station, thereby reducing the performance of telecom satellite communication system at that time. For problem formulation, the first is determine the quality of telecom 3S satellite communication based on link budget calculation, and the second is determine the sun outage affect the performance of telecom 3S satellite, and then determine the satellite orbit for sun outage period. And for scope of problem, the first is analysis of communication performance for normal in sun outage condition by compare the parameter like carrier to noise ratio, energy per bit to noise ratio, and bit error rate on average per year. And then analysis of effect of sun outage on the performance of telecom 3S satellite is more focused on the downlink communication. And then the analysis is more focused on performance of telecom 3S satellite and sun outage period. And the fourth is analysis of sun outage orbit is not determined to prediction of sun outage period. And the fifth is analysis of sun outage orbit is not intended to determine the right date and time prediction of sun outage. And the last is the orbital analysis carried out is for average per year using the data sun outage in March 2020 and September 2020 for the downlink Earth station. For literature study, based by the research from Li Huama and friends in 2018, discussing about the prediction the time of sun outage interference based on sun's position using ephemeral swiss and sun outage in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And the second research is writing by Anti Castilla and Joko Vanca in 2014. Is discussing about a simulation example to predict the sun outage period using GAT by compare the C-band, Q-band frequencies and based on the antenna diameter and outage angle. And the third is writing by Byung-Sun Lee and friends in 2010, discussing about a calculation program made for sun interference using Visual C++ and to simulate program graphic based by diameter and radio wavelength of Earth station's antenna. For basic theory, I will discuss about the satellite communication first. The satellite is a telecommunication device, has a function as a repeater to transmit microwave signal to Earth station, and Earth station will send information signal to satellite using frequencies called uplink frequencies, and satellite will forward and strengthen the signal to destination using downlink frequencies. Telecom Telkom 3S is a geostationary Earth orbit satellite located at 118 degrees east longitude, has capacity transponder for C-band and Q-band, and this is the coverage area from Telkom 3S satellite. The coverage area are for Indonesia and ASEAN, and the sun outage. Sun outage is a phenomena where satellite located between the Earth and the Sun, which make the Sun enter to antenna bandwidth of Earth station, and sun outage occur twice a year at equinox for several days and for several minutes on the affected days. For research method, this is my flowchart. The flowchart is begin with start and then check the parameter data, and then calculation of period and link budget in sun outage condition, and then calculation for normal link budget condition, and then analysis the quality of Telkom 3S satellite, and then analysis the impact of sun outage on performance of Telkom 3S satellite, and analysis the orbit of sun outage period, research conclusion, and then the last is finished. For research method, using descriptive method based on case study using link of Jakarta as uplink Earth station and Natuna Besar as downlink Earth station. And the second, to calculate the quality of normal condition parameters are needed, like parameter of Telkom 3S satellite, parameter of uplink and downlink Earth station. And this calculation is using a manual submaster and refers to ITU standard. And the third, to know the received sun outage interference, author need link budget parameter data degraded by sun outage, and using manual calculation and refers to ITU RS 1525 standard. And then to calculate the satellite orbit for sun outage using the data of sun outage period. And this is calculation using manual and based on equation from handbook and ITU RS 1525 standard too. Okay, for link budget details. For link budget details is for calculation in the normal condition like azimuth angle, elevation angle, slant range, propagation delay, antenna gain, figure of merit, effective isotropic radial power or IRP, free space loss, range attenuation, noise bandwidth, and etc. And then for signal quality parameters in normal and sun outage condition, need like parameter of carrier to noise ratio with this formula, and then energy bit per noise ratio using this formula, and then bit error rate and link availability just calculate for sun outage condition. For sun outage period, the author need two models calculation based by handbook and based by ITU RS 1525. The first formula for sun outage period is affected days using this formula based handbook, and this is based by ITU, and affected minutes and total effective minutes in equinox based by handbook, and this is based by ITU RS 1525. And this is the table 1 satellite orbit calculation result for sun outage period for parameter like affected days, minutes, and total duration for each equinox. For manual calculation, this is the result, and this is the result of ITUR standard. And for table 2, the link budget calculation result during sun outage, the parameter is like carrier to noise ratio uplink, figure of merit downlink, carrier to noise ratio downlink, carrier to noise ratio total, energy bit per noise ratio, bit error rate, and link availability. And this is the result of calculation of sun outage in March 2020, and this is the result calculation of sun outage September 2020, and this is the result calculation sun outage average per year based by March 2020 and September 2020. For table 3, this is the uplink calculation result in normal condition, the parameters like azimuth elevation, slant range, propagation delay, free space loss, antenna gain, figure of merit, ARP, and range attenuation using, this is the result of manual calculation, and this is the result of submaster calculation for uplink, and this is the ITU standard based by uplink calculation result. And same with table 3, for table 4, is for downlink calculation, for downlink calculation result, the parameters like azimuth elevation, and same with the table 3, and the method of calculation is same, manual, submaster, and ITU. And the next describe about the analysis the impact of sun outage on system performance. For table 5, this is comparison link budget calculation, result in normal and sun outage condition, average per year. And the parameters is like care to noise ratio total, uplink, downlink for figure of merit, and energy bit per noise ratio, bit error rate, and link availability. This is the result calculation of link budget in normal condition for average per year, and this is the result calculation of link budget in sun outage condition for average per year, and this is the derivation from normal link budget and sun outage link budget. For care to noise ratio uplink, the derivation is about 0.2 dB, and for figure of merit is about 70.2 dB. For care to noise ratio total, the derivation from normal and sun outage condition is about 62.9 dB, and for carry to noise ratio about 8.7 dB, and for energy bit per noise ratio, the derivation is 8.7 dB too, and 2 bit error rate is increased 2.79 multiplied 10 to the power of -4, and for link availability in normal in sun outage condition is 99.85%, and the derivation is 0.14%. And then the question is why sun outage can degrade the carrier to noise ratio? Because the first antenna temperature is 1920 per degree Kelvin in March and 1925 per degree Kelvin in September. So the antenna temperature will degrade the figure of merit in the downlink transmission like this. And for the thermal noise is about 39.50 dB in March and 39.75 dB in September. So the thermal noise will increase the total of loss in carrier to noise ratio. And the third is ARP of satellite is 22 dB watt in March and 22.5 dB watt in September, and figure of merit of satellite is 1.15 dB per degree Kelvin in March and 1.70 dB per degree Kelvin in September. And the next question is how the effect of sun outage on link availability. The first, link availability depends the downtime of sun outage interference, and so link availability during sun outage is about 99.85%, or unavailability is 0.14% every year. And this is the analysis the impact of sun outage on system performance part 2. For the graphic one, this is the comparison of carrier to noise ratio for uplink, downlink, and carrier to noise ratio total in normal and sun outage condition. And the second graphic is about comparison of carrier to noise ratio, energy bit per noise ratio, bit error rate. For sun outage, using the gray color, and for normal, using the blue color like this for carrier to noise ratio total, energy bit per noise ratio, and bit error rate. For to know the increase of bit error rate in sun outage condition and normal condition based by this graphic. The third graphic is comparison the bit error rate in normal condition and sun outage condition. So in the sun outage condition, the bit error rate will increase about 11.8 for 10 to the power of -3. And sun outage degrade of carrier to noise ratio, sun outage degrade of energy bit per noise ratio, and increase of bit error rate. Because sun outage is increase bit error rate, then sun outage make the information signal transmit by satellite suppressed by noise, so make the data bit received is an error. And this is the analysis the satellite orbit of sun outage period using manual and ITU standard for affected days, affected minutes, and total duration for each equinox. And this is the sun outage period based measurement data from Telkomsat. This calculation can be applied to predict the time of sun outage, and so the prediction calculation model for sun outage period is approaching with the precision with the measurement data is calculation based on ITU standard. And the calculation or length or short duration of sun outage at Earth station is influenced by the diameter of antenna used. If the diameter antenna is getting smaller, then the interference of sun outage is getting longer. So the conclusion, the first is about link budget in normal condition. For care to noise ratio is about 14.7 dB and energy bit per noise ratio is about 11.5 dB and the bit error rate is about 8.29 multiplied 10 to the power of -7 and show that the quality of satellite communication system without sun outage interference is already in good condition, although there are losses in transmission process. And the second, link budget in sun outage condition, because the bit error rate is 11.0 H multiplied 10 to the power of -3. So sun outage makes the transmit information signal damped by noise. So the data bit received is an error. And because the downtime of sun outage is 62 minutes in March 2020 and 63 minutes in September 2020, so sun outage also affect the loss or interruption of satellite communication traffic. About the unavailability is 0.14% every year. And for the third conclusion is about sun outage period. Based on ITU standard, the result of sun outage period are 6 until 7 days and 10 until 11 minutes on the day. Meanwhile, the total duration of sun outage is 59 until 60 minutes for March and September equinox. And based on ITU RS 1525, resulting more appropriate, accurate with measurement data with the manual calculation based on handbook. For recommendation, the first is further research can analyze the effect of sun outage in other geostationary satellites like higher frequencies. And the second, further research can analyze the effect of sun outage satellite service like VSAT IP, VSAT SCBC, and for other satellite types like BSS or broadcasting satellite service. And for further research can examine the orbital satellite and movement of sun and on sun outage and eclipse phenomena and the effect duration of result interference with more detailed calculation and analysis. And the last slide is about a reference in this final research. There are 29 reference in my research. And the last is thank you very much for attention and any question.